So you want to add some unexpected texture to your project, but maybe foil isn't the look you're going for. Have you thought of flocking? If you don't know what that is, be prepared to be wowed. Every technique video is narrated live while I'm doing the technique, so you're getting a real-time view of how the whole process works. Pull out the supplies I'm using and create right along with me, pausing as you need. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. There are a few ways on the market to get flocking onto your projects, but I find the easiest way is to use the Deco Foil Flock Transfer Sheets. These are sheets of paper that have flocking added to them, and you can use these in a multitude of ways. And in this video, we're going to add them to some cardstock using a stencil. And the way we're going to add that onto our stencil is by using the Deco Foil Transfer Gel. Now, there are two different kinds of transfer gel out there. There is the Transfer Gel Duo, and there's the Transfer Gel Blanco. And you may even have the original Transfer Gel if you've had this for a while and it's just been sitting on your shelf. You might have the older version that is much like the Blanco. So let's talk about the difference between these two. The Transfer Gel Duo says right on the front here, two-way use, heat or no heat. So once you've put this through a stencil or used it how you like to use it, you can either use your embossing and die cut machine to apply the foil or flock, or you can put it through a laminator or a mink machine using heat and pressure to transfer the flocking to the gel. With the transfer gel, the original, or the transfer gel Blanco, which is white, you must use it with a hot laminator. So either a hot laminator or a mink machine will work with this, but just remember that if you have the original transfer gel or Blanco, you're going to have to use heat. If it says Duo, you've got options. You can use either heat or you can use pressure from your die machine. So that's how we're going to use these. With the Gel Duo, I'm going to run this through my die cut machine, and with the Gel Blanco, I will use my laminator. All right, so our first step is to get the gel onto our cardstock. And these are the flocks that I'll be using, Blue Sky and Tuscan Gold. So I'll do Tuscan Gold on this piece of kind of sky blue cardstock, and I'll use the Blue Sky on this piece of navy cardstock. So that way you can really see the difference when those get put on. So I have two pieces of cardstock, navy blue and this kind of aqua teal blue, and I've got a stencil. So I'm just gonna pop this on here and separate these guys just 50-50, make it super easy. All right, so remember, we're going to be doing both heat setting and not heat setting or pressure setting. So on the navy blue, I'm going to use the Transfer Gel Blanco. Now, the advantage of using this product is that it is going to dry white. And that's super helpful because if you're using a dark colored cardstock, sometimes the color can show through a little bit. And by using the Blanco, it's going to give you a nice white palette for your flocking to land on and it's true to color. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that Blanco on the side here. So when this dries, it will dry white. And I'm just putting a nice thin layer and scraping right across the stencil. So we'll clean that one off. And on this side, I'm going to use the Gel Transfer Duo. Now this is a clear gel. It's going to dry transparent. And it's also going to dry somewhat tacky. And this one you can use without heat. So we're going to run this one through our die cut machine. And since I'm using a light color, you're not going to really notice any kind of color transfer, especially because I'm going to be using a darker colored flock, so you're really not going to see it. All right, so again, I'm just going to get this right on my stencil here, and I'm going to scrape off the excess. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and take off my stencil right away and clean it. This will dry on your stencil and will be very difficult, if not impossible, to remove. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this right away, or you just need to get it into some water right away so it doesn't have time to set. And then these need to dry. Now the instructions say that they need to dry for about an hour. So you can either let those dry naturally or use a low heat setting on your heat embossing tool or your low heat project dryer to get these to dry just a little bit faster. All right, so it's been about an hour and I've waited for these to dry and they are ready to be used. Now, if you don't want to wait for an hour to go by, you can always do your gel work the night before and then come back the next day and do it. The recommendation is that you use this within 12 hours of spreading it out. So you've got overnight to let it sit and dry, and then it'll be ready for you the next morning. So we're going to start with the Gel Blanco. And remember, this is our heat set only gel. So I've got my piece of cardstock and I have my piece of flocking, and I'm using this Blue Sky flock. And it's very easy to do. So I've got my laminator all heated up. It is set at the 5 mil setting so that it will give me the highest heat possible. Now this Gel Blanco is actually kind of dry. It doesn't stick at all. So I'm going to just put my flocking on top. Now this is a little bit different. Sometimes when you're using foils, you put the dull side or the back side down on top of the surface that you want to have foiled. In the case of flocking, you actually want to put the flock directly onto the surface. So it should be bad sides up on both sides, right? So the back side and the back side here. And this is ready to go. So I'm going to put it in this little carrier that I have here. It's just a little parchment lip that I have set up on a piece of white cardstock. So that way it can go through the laminator and have a nice surface on the bottom to run it through. Now, ThermoWeb also recommends that you actually put the flocking closest to the bottom of the laminator. So I am going to just flip that around. And I'm just going to go ahead and run this through. It says to run it through twice. All right, so my packet has run through twice, and I just flipped it 180 degrees when I put it through the second time, just to make sure that it got a good leading edge on both sides. And I can feel that it is adhered to that gel, so we're going to discover what has happened together. So as I pull this up, you're going to see that that blue flocking has stuck to the white gel. And you can see that some of that flock came off. And there we go. Here is the rest of our project. And it is nice and soft and fuzzy. And it's really quite stunning. It will give you a different effect to your projects and a different tactile experience. Of course, we don't have any glossiness going on. It's just nice and soft and fuzzy and raised. And it's very, very cool looking. All right, and for our second version, we are going to use our Transfer Gel Duo version. So remember, this one has the Duo gel on it, and it is tacky. And this is going to work through a pressure transfer. So again, I'm going to take my flocking sheet, and this time I'm using the Tuscan Gold flocking sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and place it right on top. And it is going to kind of stick. So I can just give it a nice little press to make sure that it is adhered everywhere. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it in a sandwich for my die cut machine. Now you might need to add a shim because this is much thinner than just about anything you would put through your machine. So I did add in an extra shim to my sandwich. And I'm just going to go ahead and run this through my die cut machine twice as well. All right, so my second piece has run through here, and let's take a look at our results. So like I said, this should have smushed the flocking right into that Transfer Gel Duo for a beautiful result. So as we peel this away, oh, look at how gorgeous that is. You can see that the pressure method actually took more of the flocking off of the paper. And it gave yet another beautiful result. This is where I had some overspread with my stencil. So you may want to use a pixie spray or something to keep your stencil down in place and keep that liquid from getting up underneath there. But otherwise it worked perfectly. And again, I've got a nice soft fuzzy surface here. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It's a little bit raised and it created a beautiful effect, just like the first one here. So now you have another great way to use your stencils and to add some fun texture to your projects that isn't foil. It's through using the flock transfer sheets and the transfer gels. I hope you enjoyed this technique and you add it into your toolbox sometime soon. When you give it a try, share it out on Instagram and tag me at Nicole Watt Creates. I always love to see what your creative mind is thinking. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. And until next time, happy crafting.